Early one morning in the 90s, my dad was sitting quietly at the kitchen table, slowly drinking his coffee and smoking his morning cigarette. At about 6 years old, I was almost comically the opposite. I was running around the house in a way that was annoying to anyone old enough to understand the word mortgage. I just read the first paragraph of a book entitled Because I Said I Would by Alex Sheen. I am Dr. John Park, the author of Daring to Speak, 22 Ideas to Improve Your Ability to Speak English. In this video, I'll be talking about the power and benefits of reading out loud. I'll also demonstrate to you additional examples of reading out loud using various materials that I have here. I'll show you how reading out loud can help you improve your listening skills as well as speaking skills as a non-native speaker of the English language. When it comes to reading English materials out loud, it's important for you to learn how to pronounce English alphabets properly and develop a general sense of how English words are pronounced. Here, I'm not saying that your English pronunciation has to be perfect. As a matter of fact, we can't go native as non-native speakers of English. However, we can get to a point where our English can be understood not only by native speakers of English, but also by non-native speakers of English from various parts of the world. In one of my videos, I talk about how you can practice shadowing. Shadowing is a great tool that will enable you to improve your pronunciation. In that video, I demonstrate how you can actually start practicing shadowing in order to improve your pronunciation, rhythm, intonation, and other aspects of English. Once you nail down how to pronounce English words, you can jump into the practice of reading out loud. But before we do that, let me share with you a couple of benefits of reading out loud. First and foremost, reading out loud gives you confidence in speaking English. As you read English words and sentences out loud, you develop a feel for English and also you familiarize yourselves with the sounds of English. I don't know how many books and reading materials I read out loud, but I read tons. And the more I read, the more I felt like speaking in English and striking up a conversation. I remember a story of one of my former professors who graduated from one of the top-notch universities in South Korea. He decided to come to the United States for further studies. He thought that he's going to not only survive but thrive in US academic settings. But then he was dead wrong. After he took a couple of classes on the first day of the semester, he could not understand even 30% of what he was hearing. So he returned to his dorm room and his roommate noticed a disappointed look on his face. So his roommate asked him, "Why the long face?" And he hesitated for a few seconds and decided to share with him what had happened. After hearing his story, his roommate told him, "Why don't you check this out? One of my friends, an international student, greatly benefited from reading out loud. Because he was desperate, he decided to give it a try. On the first day, he read for 30 minutes. Then, the muscles around his mouth became really tired, so he quit. But then the following day, he decided to try it again. This time, he did that for 1 hour. And that lasted for 1 week. There wasn't any change. But then after 1 month, he began to see a slow change in his attitude. And also, he found himself a little itching to speak in English. He persisted for another couple months. At the end of third month, he realized that he developed a great confidence in speaking in English. And also, he was able to understand more what he was hearing. So his story and my story, and there are many others who can testify to the power of reading out loud. So that is the first benefit. The first benefit is, once again, it gives you confidence in speaking English. The second benefit of reading out loud is that it helps you remember longer. According to a study by the University of Waterloo in Ontario, Canada, those who read out loud remember the most. In the study, there were 3 kinds of participants. The first kind of participants read the words presented to them from a list of nouns into a microphone. The second kind of participants read the words silently. And the third kind heard the words read to them. And the study lasted over a period of 2 semesters, and the winner was the first kind of participants. People who read out loud remember the most. Reading out loud clearly helps people with their memories. The third benefit of reading out loud is an increase in vocabulary. I don't know whether you recognize this or not. When we read out loud, our brain registers what we hear and stores it in the short-term memory and then later in the long-term memory. When I give a speech in public, I am surprised occasionally by the words that come out of my mouth because I know I hadn't planned on using them. When I look for the right words in context, the words that I had read previously in a book or a news article somehow find their way to come out of my mouth. Haddon Robinson, the author of Biblical Preaching, talks about the benefit of reading out loud. And this is what he observed. When you read better styles than your own, new patterns of speech and creative wording will be etched on your nervous system. You develop a feel for picture-making language. And those are 3 benefits of reading out loud. First, reading out loud gives you confidence. Second, reading out loud helps you remember longer. And third, reading out loud helps you increase your vocabulary. Now I'm going to show to you how I practice reading out loud. Let me grab a book. The title of this book is Love Works: 7 Timeless Principles for Effective Leaders by Joel Manby. So I'm going to read to you a couple of passages from this book. What happens when you are the one who needs to hear the truth? Leadership is a lonely business. When we rely on our own perspective, we miss our blind spots. We do the best we can, but if we have nobody telling us the real truth, we will not improve over time. The unfortunate news is that the more senior you are in your organization, the more difficult it is to get the truth about how you are performing. Finding someone you can trust to give you honest feedback is a rare gift that all leaders need but few receive. You'll have to find these companions on your own. Your trusted confidants may come from your organization or from your personal life. Either way, the undeniable fact is they need to tell you the truth about who you are and where you need to grow. They need to confront you when you are wrong and watch for patterns of poor behavior and negative patterns in your decision making. Preferably, these truth tellers are not impacted by your decisions, so you can be assured there is no ulterior motive. I found my most trusted truth tellers in an unlikely place, a Bible study at Harvard Business School. Now, let me grab another book, and this time it's a poetry book. The title of the book is The Singer Trilogy by Calvin Miller, and there's one poem I really enjoy reading. Here we go. He was not alone when he awoke. The ancient world hater had come upon his resting place, and not by chance. The hater leered at him with one defiant, impish grin. "Hello, singer." "Hello, world hater," the troubadour responded. "You know my name, old friend of man, as you know mine, old enemy of God. What brings you to the desert?" "The giver of the song. And does he let you sing it only in these isolated spots?" "I only practice here to sing it in the crowded ways." It was hard to sing before the world hater, for he ground each joyous stanza underneath his heel. The music only seemed to make the venom in his hate more bitter than before. I also read news articles, and so I'm going to show to you how I read news article. And the title of this news article is Frequently Asked Questions on Stimulus Checks, Unemployment, and the Coronavirus Plan. And this is actually a news article that came out pretty recently. And this is something that is dear to many people. The $2 trillion relief bill will send money directly to Americans, greatly expand unemployment coverage, and make a number of other changes. President Trump has signed a bipartisan $2 trillion economic relief plan to offer assistance to tens of millions of American households affected by the coronavirus pandemic. Its components include stimulus payment to individuals, expanded unemployment coverage, student loan changes, different retirement account rules, and more. Here are the answers to common questions about what's in the plan. We'll update this article as we know more about the details. More information on getting assistance can be found at our Hub for Help. Stimulus payments. Most adults will get $1,200, although some would get less. For every qualifying child age 16 or under, the payment will be an additional $500. How many payments will there be? Just the one. Future bills could order up additional payments though. How do I know if I will get the full amount? It depends on your income. Single adults with Social Security numbers who have an adjusted gross income of $75,000 or less will get the full amount. Married couples with no children earning $150,000 or less will receive a total of $2,400. And taxpayers filling as a head of a household will get the full payment if they earned $112,500 or less. Above those income figures, the payment decreases until it stops altogether for single people earning $99,000 or married people who have no children and earn $198,000. According to the Senate Finance Committee, a family with 2 children will no longer be eligible for any payments if its income surpassed $218,000. This time, let me read a couple of passages from a book written not in English but in Spanish. The title of this book is Un Ancla para el Alma. I might stumble on a couple of words here and there, so let me try. Un hombre llamado Jesús. ¿Quién es Jesucristo? Antes de que respondas esta pregunta, vamos a poner la escena. Son apenas unos minutos después del mediodía en el centro de Filadelfia. Caminas con algunos amigos hacia un lugar favorito para almorzar y de repente te intercepta un equipo de cámara para una entrevista espontánea. Para tu sorpresa, sus preguntas no tienen nada que ver con la política, la economía, ni cuál es tu opinión respecto a la pena capital. El entrevistador quiere saber lo que piensas acerca de Jesucristo. ¿Quién es Él? Mientras titubeas buscando una respuesta, la cámara de video graba tu malestar. I demonstrate to you how I actually practice reading out loud. And once again, to recap, reading out loud helps you boost your confidence, helps you read and remember longer, and it also helps you improve your vocabulary. I read all kinds of reading materials: the Bible, news articles, books, poetry books, as well as books in written other languages. So I hope that you will be able to give this practice of reading out loud a try and improve your listening skills as well as speaking skills. It has helped me greatly, and I'm sure that it'll help you greatly as well. If you like this video, please make sure that you hit that like button and notification bell and subscribe to my channel. And please also leave your comments in the comments so that I can communicate with you and answer any questions that you might have. In next video, I'll be talking about how reading Bali helps you improve your speaking skills as well as listening skills. Until then, dare to speak.